Yeah. Give me just a second here. I'll be flipping the screen and heading on live. How the hell is everybody doing? Welcome aboard for the next hour, maybe longer, who knows. I'm going to be your host. My name is Matt. Sometimes I go by the Grass Factor. Martin. Somebody cut that crap-ass music. I'm just kidding. It's not that bad. Hey! What do we got? Oh, we got just a few seconds here. I'll kill it at the end. Yeah. All right. How's everybody doing? Like I said, this is going to be the lawn care help desk for the next hour or so. I will be here making a complete and total buffoonery of myself in some form or fashion. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? I might get it right today. I may not. Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. If I'm back live on the evening, that means it is Sunday evening again.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah! I forgot about that, but hey, you know what? The computer will not let me. So, yes, we do have sound effects today, going loud and clear. I think I might have some still on my soundboard from. Let me see. I've got so many different sound banks now. No, I don't have any of my normal sound banks on here. I've got them all pre-programmed with different stuff going on. So, you know, it's all right. It's all right. We can do a little turf teacher promotion if we need to, if you know what I'm saying. So this is the lawn care help desk. So the way this normally works is it is a question and answer format, meaning you ask questions. I will do my best to provide answers. Again, my background is turf grass management, lawn care. I've been in lawn care for the overwhelming majority of my career. Therefore, I feel most comfortable answering questions related to lawn care. That being said, and having worked in lawn care, I also dabbled a little bit in tree shrubs. So if we do want to talk about some ornamentals, if we do want to talk about some trees, I might be able to assist in there, but I wouldn't make any guarantees towards it. Second piece of that, this is I am fallible. I am human. I do make mistakes. So I want to take just a moment here to stress to you, please fact check anything I say because I'm doing this all stream of consciousness live. There's no pre-planning to this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah! Thank you, Glokuda. So I get into it sometimes and I will misspeak. So and if that does happen, I don't want to tell you to go apply Monument to a cool season lawn and then you end up smoking all your cool season grass. So just please fact check everything I say to make sure it lines up and everything's in the you know, it's not crisscrossing and all that random stuff that goes on. Let's see. Oh, and another thing I would say is what was I gonna say? I don't know. I'll figure it. Oh, yeah. If you ask a question in the chat, so this is how it normally goes, is that if you have questions, you know, put them into the chat. when I will get to them in the order in which they come in. So I start at the top of the list and I will work my way down. Please understand I'm on about a 30-second delay, meaning what I'm actually talking about right now, you're not going to see it for about 30 seconds. Why is that the case? Just in case a couple bad words come out, but sometimes that normally doesn't always actually happen either. My kids are saying good night to me. Good night, son. Love you, buddy. Good night. Love you, Lilia. All right. So where was I? Yes. And if I do skip over your question, again, I'm doing this kind of off the cuff here. If I do skip over your question, feel free to ask again, and I will get to it. I promise I do not skip over anything intentionally, but again, I'm just running this through as fast as I can from top to bottom, left, right, so on and so forth. So now is the time. If you do have questions, feel free to throw them into the chat. Now, there was some stuff in here. Ooh. I thought I saw some questions earlier, but I'm trying to flip through here and trying to figure this out. Trying to learn about my grass. Well, crabgrass and Dallas grass, but it's green. Yeah, that is for sure. Let me see. New Jersey, cool season. Plan on doing a turf tight tall fescue Kentucky bluegrass mix in the backyard. That sounds like a good time. Let's see. My only one, the lazy boy night, wondering why there is not a Kentucky bluegrass cultivar named Notorious KBG. That is a good one. I am in turf type tall fescue, North Carolina. Putting some Kentucky bluegrass in my backyard as well. Going with triple threat plus based on Paul Outlaw's experience in the region. There you go. I believe triple threat is one of the seed blends from Mountain View Seeds. Can't go wrong there. That is for sure. Is putting down lime and organic fertilizer the same from Mark Cardoso. I keep hearing about organic fert, but I never see anyone putting down lime with organic fert. I know lime adjusts pH, but I don't know which to do. Okay, two totally separate deals there, Mike. Lime and organic fertilizer are not the same. I mean, we're talking about left field and right field here. Two totally different things. Lime is not fertilizer. You're manipulating soil pH. Organic fertilizer, you're providing the nutritional requirements for the plants to succeed. So it's just opposite ends of the spectrum. They don't necessarily deal with one another unless you're talking about how the pH of the soil can influence how many of those nutrients you apply actually make it into the plant. Because as soon as you get to certain weird levels in your pH, say you get really high, a lot of those micronutrients that might be in your organic fertilizer will never make it into your plant very quickly. They'll be bound up with, it can be bound up with phosphorus, or it could be bound up with calcium, or it could be bound up with magnesium phosphate, calcium phosphate, iron phosphate. All these precipitate out and are no longer soluble. Or magnesium carbonate. You get all these carbonates in there, and that'll start to make things unavailable. So I digress. I'm going way too far. But the reality of the situation is this: putting down lime and organic fertilizer are nowhere near the same. Nowhere near the same. They can complement one another, and I would recommend, if you have a low pH soil, say less than 6, then I would put down lime. And if you want to put down an organic fert, you can certainly do that too, and you can do it simultaneously. But they're just way two separate things. One does not take the place of the other. Is this where we learn how to burn down our sheds? Yes, it is. I have done that before. Have good experience with it. Went ahead and did my Aerate overseed early in Maryland based on the forecast. Do soil temps in the low 70s mean even quicker germination than 60s? Yes, that's exactly what it means. Just because you have warm weather doesn't mean it's going to inhibit germination. I can tell you right now, I've got things germinating in 38 degrees Celsius right now, whatever that comes out to be in Fahrenheit. I don't know, but it's hot. Let me see. 38 Celsius to Fahrenheit that's right at 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And I've got tall fescue and I've got Kentucky bluegrass germinating in it, no problem. The part you have to pay attention to there is the moisture levels. if you can maintain the correct moisture level, then you can germinate really at any temperature. Lulu Bell says, my lawn is full of snakeberries. I had to Google that to see what it was, and those are actually wild strawberries. It looks most similar to wild strawberry to me. So in terms of effective control, what I would look at doing is, I assume you have cool season grass. If you have cool season grass, I would look at applying something that contains triclopyr, fluroxypyr, 2,4-D. If you have warm season grass, I would probably look at something that contains methylfuron methyl or Celsius, Tribute Total, or even a 2,4-D amine, or even something like a Speed Zone Southern would all work exceptionally well in controlling it. I bought red laser dye today. Going to burn it down with 41% glyphosate. There you go. Hey, Matt, bad idea to apply 2 herbicides the same day separately. I have some areas of sedge and some broadleaf. I just didn't want a tank mix and blanket areas that don't need or the other. No, you can do that. That's not really a big deal there. But yeah, you can do that. I'm not seeing any issue with it. Do you have to seed when you aerate? No, you don't necessarily have to. But again, if you are dealing with a cool season grass and you're pulling cores out of the ground, you may be pulling actual individual plants out of the ground. And so to replace those plants that you're pulling out of the ground, because most cool season grasses, your tall fescues do not have the ability to self-repair in such a way that it's a bunch type grass. So therefore, if you pull one from the ground, you would have to replace it. That's why you see so many people aerate and seed at the same time. But if you have something like Kentucky bluegrass, it self-repairs, no big deal. Bentgrass, self-repairs. Some fine fescues, self-repair, no big deal. What is the appropriate time to start lowering the height of cut before fall overseed? Tall fescue slam as extreme east in the transition zone, North Carolina. It's totally up to you. You can come in and scalp it the day before. You can come in and scalp it the day after. I mean, really, it's up to you. I'm not saying scalp it the day after that. I wouldn't do that. But some people don't even do it at all. And really, the timing is just purely up to however you want to do it. There is no rule book on it. It's just totally whenever you feel like doing it, do it, and then seed into it, and you'll be good to go. Question, trying to decide if I should burn my lawn down and seed with Bermuda. It's about 100 degrees, 60 days a year. I have fescue, but is it too late? Yes, in my opinion, right now, August the 16th, I think you are too late. So I would plan on doing that next May, maybe even middle of May, maybe even later May, somewhere around there, maybe early May. If you've got a 60 days a year that's about 100 degrees, then probably in May you'll be fine. But assuming you have a hard freeze and you have, we'll say, 20, 30, 40 days below freezing through the course of the year, I would not be seeding Bermuda now. Now, if you don't reach freezing until December or even January timeframe, then there's a chance you may be able to get away with it. But in my opinion, the risk to reward ratio is not in your favor. Thus, I wouldn't do it personally. But I'm talking about my experience here in the transition zone. My education, my experience forms my opinions. But if you have different education, if you have a different set of experiences, you may have different opinions, and I'm not saying mine's right and yours wrong. I'm just saying that I'm ingrained into my thinking and I may be wrong. Whoa, we bounced down to the bottom there, and I gotta come on back. Well, if I can find my original place here. Where was I? Mr. Wassenhauer in the house. How are you, good sir? Hello, Matt. How many cuts should I bag my clippings since I have high P? Already bagged at 4 cuts. Well, here's the reality of the situation is that you can take like the growth probability model from Pace Turf and see that if you bag your clippings, but really the thing is how much nitrogen did you apply? So I'll give you an example, and I don't think this is exactly 100%, but if you apply 4 pounds of nitrogen, you're going to and bag all your clippings and discard it, you're going to lower your phosphorus levels by about 13 or 15 parts per million through the course of a year at 4 pounds of nitrogen. So 4 cuts ain't nothing in the grand scheme of things. If you apply 4 pounds of nitrogen through the course of the year, bagged every cut, so we're talking 36, 40 cuts, and discarded all that, you're going to drop at 13 parts per million. Is that going to put you back where you need to be? I don't know. You'll have to make that determination. But I would double check that on the growth probability model on Pace Turf. Let's see. Triple threat fescue any good? I don't. Which one is this? I can't remember. Matt Martinez said, I'm interested in Bermuda, but I don't see how it's possible in Texas. I think the KBG would be stressed out too often, and Kentucky Bluegrass and Bermuda would compete in spring and fall. Yes, there is going to be some competition that takes place there, but that's a much friendlier level of competition than it would be with perennial ryegrass. Perennial ryegrass also has the added disadvantage of also being allelopathic. So if you can overseed with ryegrass in your area, you can certainly do it with Kentucky bluegrass. So I'm not seeing where it wouldn't be possible in Texas. I just think the timing of when one greens up and the other greens up, or one goes dormant and the other goes dormant, would be different than where it would be in Kentucky or in Tennessee, for instance. Can I speak with your manager? Yes, sir. B. Willis. Yes, sir. Hylex for Bermuda grass spiked with turfline ester? Yes. But I always pull it out the third application. Jason Traylor said, Matt, is your daughter's name Lillian? No, it's actually Lilia, Lilia. But it's close, and even very close. And the reason why we ended it on a syllable like that is just because it's easier for translation to Japanese. Otherwise, it would be either Lily or Lillian. So it was just a nice way for us to meet in the middle between the two languages, so to speak. So very cool. Clark Van Meter said, I'm having a heck of a time sourcing citric acid powder to roll my own pH reducer. Not having any luck. How can I buy a bag of that size for 25,000 square feet? DudaDiesel.com. DUDA Diesel.com. DUDA Diesel.com. All right. Hang on, Evan. I'm going to get to you here. Can triclopyr kill vines growing up the side of your house? Yes. Last Wednesday, I applied the following tank mix. Rates are per 1,000 square feet. Ammonium sulfate at 1.2 pounds. So let's see, 1.2 times 0.21. Okay. MFT at 18 mils. Hang on, let me see what that is. 18 milliliters. 2 ounces. Okay, so 0.6 ounces. Okay. T-Nex. Okay. Propiconazole. Okay. Bifen. Okay. Speed Zone. Okay. Triclopyr. Okay. Now the lawn is set. So a couple things. One, the Speed Zone and the Propiconazole combination there is going to be really hard on the grass. And then a bit of triclopyr is going to be hard on the grass. So I would never run anything with carfentrazone or sulfentrazone in combination with T-Nex, because the chance for collateral damage there is just a thing. It's just there. So that is what happened is probably the carfentrazone is causing the discoloration, and that coupled with the propiconazole, coupled with the T-Nex, all said and brought together and combined together is what's giving you the sadness that you're experiencing right now. It will grow out. Unfortunately, though, it's going to take a bit of time. Overseeding my neighbor's lawn in the turf-tight tall fescue in the transition zone. Neighbor's Bermuda's creeping into his lawn. I plan on glyphosate before seeding. Post-seed, you recommend Ornamec over the top or Fusilade 2 for control? Yes, but I would make sure that tall fescue is well established before you start using over the top or Fusilade, whatever fluazepop product you want to use. Make sure that tall fescue is established, because fluazepop is very hard on tall fescue. Very hard on it. So do not think you're going to spray it and you're not going to see some discoloration and some knockdown of it. You certainly are. If you want to avoid that, you would probably want to go with something like Pylex would be a better bet. less collateral damage. For your consideration, hey Matt, I've applied 4 pounds per 1,000 of Martin Dispersol, old Tiger Sol, to start dropping the pH of my lawn. What is the application frequency when applying sulfur, and how long to wait between apps? Well, here's the thing. I don't know where you are, so I'm going to assume that you are dealing with cool season grass. That's just my guess. And you want to apply it when it's warm outside, because the basically through microbial mineralization, that's going to be converted into sulfuric acid to flush, to neutralize and flush the carbonates and bicarbonates out of your soil. So it depends on what your starting pH is, right? So I would say if you are an 8 or above, you're never going to be able to get it done with Tiger Sol or elemental sulfur to begin with. But if you're below, say you're at a 7.5 and you're trying to bring it down, then yes, you certainly can. 5 pounds per 1,000, 4 pounds per 1,000, something like that monthly. They're about monthly. Just in the event you do apply it and you cause any damage, obviously back off for a good hair and let it recover fully before attempting to continue on with it. So again, 30 days, 45 days, somewhere in there, you should be good to go. Currently have leaf spot in my tall fescue. Can I oversee with disease present? Yes, you can. Let's see. Is it true a new can help and knock out the dreaded POT? Robert Butler, it's true that a new.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah! What is this? What's up, Evan? Thank you, sir. Thank you. Robert Butler, it's true that it can suppress POT to the point that it allows the surrounding grass to catch up to it or even outperform it. And it's also true that higher rates of anew, where it is tolerated in turf-type tall fescue, can be phytotoxic to POT. So it's not, again, as part of a management strategy, is it going to knock it out? No, probably not. But is it going to give your other turf a fighting chance? Yes. What is your preferred NPK ratio for an overseed renovation app in the fall for turf type tall fescue? And what is your recommended ratio for follow-up app in 3 to 4 weeks in? So it depends on what your soil test says. There's lots of different answers I could give you right there. And yeah, it's just gonna be hard for me to make a determination there without knowing a starting point. Me personally, I'm not really going to grab anything other than just straight nitrogen unless I have some sort of a starting point. Are fertilizers safe for birds? By and large, yes. I've never known of a fertilizer that is not safe for birds. Picked up yard late, needs grassy weeds, goose and crab, and many broadleaf weeds smoked out before aeration and seed. I'm thinking tenacity, MSO, quinclorac, nervous about seeding soon after application. So I would flip out tenacity and replace it with Pilex because of how much greater efficacy it would have in that scenario there. Especially Pilex plus quinclorac is going to be an awesome 1-2. One, it's going to take care of your goose exceptionally well. Two, it's going to take care of your crab exceptionally well. With the addition of the quinclorac, you're going to get a nice synergy there against your broadleaves, and it was 100% seed safe, so you're good to go. Tall fescue lawn in Western Kentucky, for the fall, how much in would be too much? A pound a month, okay, from September through November, September, October, November, 3 pounds? Yeah, you can do that. Yard is great, but trying to push it this fall, yeah, you can do that. It's Nightman. You can go ask him. I really don't care. But black sooty mold on hollies control. So on this one, you just really got to wash it off, but figure out what's causing it. It's caused by honeydew, right? So if you have aphids or scales or whatever the case may be producing honeydew, one, get rid of them. Two, if you're concerned about it spreading and all that fun stuff, you can spray a fungicide on it. Do you need to? Probably not. But as long as you can keep new honeydew from being put on it, normally you can keep the sooty mold from continuing to spread on it. And another thing you can do too is just wash it off. It sounds a little crazy, but stand back. Don't get right up on it, but stand back with your pressure washer, wash it off. You'll be all right. Andy Kelly said, seed in an area that had these V-shaped grasses coming up. Is that baby nutsedge, or is there a baby cool season grass that comes up V-shaped? If it's coming up V-shaped, then I mean, just kind of off the top of my head here, a lot of your warm season grasses are going to be V-shaped, meaning they're going to have kind of like a dicot. No. But yes, I see what you're saying. Chances are it's a grassy weed, if I had to guess. And if I had to guess anything, I'm going to guess probably crabgrass, given the time of year. Maybe goose. I saw this out of the corner of my eye, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. What does gypsum do? The fact of the matter is that if you do not have sodic soil, meaning high in sodium, then, oh man, it's night, man. Golly, why do people feel the need to do this? Listen, why do you have to do this on my channel? So let me do this. Bam. There we go. So what does gypsum do? Nothing. In actuality. Now, what it can do is that if you have soils that are high in sodium, it can displace calcium with calcium, right? So just a real simple, easy thing to do right there is that if you have high sodium soils, applying gypsum can displace sodium with calcium and may make the soil a little softer, so to speak. It's not always reality, but I would only use it if you have very high sodium in the soil. If you do not have high sodium in the soil, the only other time I would do it is if you are low in calcium and you have a high pH. Low calcium, high pH, which is rare, or high sodium in the soil. The only two places. It does nothing, not a thing, nothing at all for clay. There we go. Yeah, sorry, I had to ban the guy. If anybody's paying attention in the chat there, I banned the guy because it's unnecessary. Listen, I'm not here to talk about other people's channels. It's obvious who I'm friends with. If you go through and you look, you'll see I've got lots of friends in this lawn care community. Please do not start chiming in on the chat, just seeing how much just noise you can stir up through this. I do this for the fun. I certainly don't get rich doing this. I do this. I take the time away from my family, my wife, my kids every day to do either the radio show or do this because I enjoy this industry. I do it out of the nicest of my heart. So if you want to come here to fight, go do it with somebody else. I don't have time. Do improved traits of modern turf-type tall fescue generally sacrifice something? Seems like most of the heat-tolerant Kentucky bluegrass varieties are a lighter green, rhizomatous tall fescue, slow to establish, etc. Yeah, so RTF tall fescues are slower to establish. Yes, normally when you're bringing on these new genetic differences, yes, you're going to give up something for it, right? So just kind of a weird. Okay, like on the disease, if you have greater resistance to brown patch, chances are you have less resistance to gray leaf spot, or if you have greater resistance to gray leaf spot, you have less resistance to Pythian blight. So yes, a lot of times that does happen, and normally with RTF tall fescues, you hit the what is it called? The sprout and pout that's common with the Kentucky bluegrasses. You do not have your cake and eat it too, so to speak. Hell yeah! Thanks, Stemming Bluegrass, man. Seeded an area. Oh, wait. We already did that. Getting ready for reseeding tall fescue. I noticed little white moss when mowing. I threw some. Jason, what are you doing, man? Stop it, man. Unnecessary. Absolutely unnecessary. I got it out of my system. I got it. I had to purge it. I had to make some noise and just boom, get it out and be done with it. Screw the haters. To hell with them all.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah! Hey, dog, stop! No, man. Hey, we're not doing this. Thank you. Seriously, I appreciate that. Thank you. Let's see. I've noticed a little white moss when mowing. I threw some Grubs in as preventative. Can I add again? How long would I have to wait to reseed? With Grubs, yeah, you can. If you got white moss when mowing, I don't know where that would be. Grubs. Johnny Palmer, I'm not exactly sure what you're asking me here. But if you can apply Grubs and seed at the same time, it's not going to affect seed germination there, so you really don't have to worry about it.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah! Matt, last week you talked about year 2 gains with lateral spread rhizomatous fescues. Can you expand on that? Was there anything you did to encourage that more frequent P applications? Yes, to a point, Damon. And here's kind of the other thing too, is that I had to get warmer than I thought I was going to have to get in order for it to come around. And here's kind of the other thing. I'm trying to replicate it right now, Damon, in a lab setting. And this is kind of the weird thing is if you take it from a period of high fertility and then starve it, you'll start producing rhizomes in a lab setting. This is what I'm seeing. Now, the part where I'm flipping that over is I'm now introducing, now that it's started to produce rhizomes, I'm starting to introduce different nutrients at different concentrations. So one is just nitrogen, another is going to be full NPK, the other is just PK, and then the other is just micronutrients, and then PK and chelated micronutrients. So trying to figure out what exactly that is in a controlled setting of the lab. But I can say this, under high intensity fertilizer programs, the rate of rhizome production is so far is behind that of starving the plant. Kind of an odd thing. So I'm wondering if the rhizome production isn't kind of a what do you call it? A stress response. How about that? All right, it flipped to the bottom here, so let me move back up. Del Bude, thank you, sir. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. What's the best application method? OSU, I just got to it. Attaboy. Deep roots lawn care, mushroom compost for top dressing. Yeah, any kind of compost is going to be fun for you because, it's going to retain moisture. It's providing a nutrient source. So any compost is good composting. Me personally, I came up on using compost in the mushroom compost world. Obviously, now I use poultry compost. Do I like one over the other? Nah, I think they both work about the same. They both kick ass, to be honest. I bought Miracle Grow Lawn. The sprayed does not work well on the hose. The crystals sit on the bottom of the sprayer. Why? Because whatever material that is in the Miracle Grow Lawn, it's no longer soluble. It's precipitated out and it's not going back into solution. So there you go. Question: do pre-emergents kill crabgrass seed or just suppress them till control wears off? It doesn't. So it depends on your active ingredient. I'm assuming you're talking about dinitroalanines, DNAs, like our prodiamine and stuff. So it actually has a vapor barrier that as it begins to germinate, the root cannot push down and take up nutrients. So it actually inhibits cell division inside that root. So therefore the root, there's no cell division that takes place. There's no expansion of the root. Therefore the plant eventually fails because it starves to death. The root never can form well, therefore can't take it up. Can't take anything up. So it does. So actually the pre-emergents do indeed kill seed. Kind of an interesting thing there. I'm planning on using X-Start when reseeding in tall fescue in September. How many amps would I do before switching to Carbon X? 1, 2 if you're feeling real froggy, and then switch. What grass do you recommend for New Jersey? Tall fescue, probably. Especially if you're just starting out, I would start out with tall fescue. What's some reasons certain areas of Bermuda thin out? Entire lawn got the same amount of water and fert. Man, there's lots of questions. It could be shade. It could be, it may not even be shade, but you may have surface roots from nearby trees. It could be nematodes. It could be mole crickets. It could be Bermuda mites. It could be chinch bugs. It could be over fertilization. It could be potassium deficiency. It could be phosphorus deficiency. It could be too infrequent mowing. It could be infiltration rates of water. Even though you're applying the same amount of water, it may not be infiltrating at the same rate, thus causing it to thin. I mean, I got this is kind of a starting point there. I leveled my back and side yard. I'm wanting to apply grass seed, but in 3 weeks. Can I apply tenacity now? And when can I put the seed down? I don't know the label of tenacity that well because I don't think it's that good of a product, especially in and of itself. So I think it has a 30-day reseed interval. I may be wrong, but if it has a 30-day reseed interval, then I would wait 30 days before I applied seed. Best place company for soil tests in New York. Dexter, kind of pick your poison on those as long as they are a legitimate lab. So Waters, Midwest, Logan, Spectrum Analytics, all those are legitimate labs and do a good job. So what you want to look for is based on the pH of your soil is, are you going to get a Malic 3 test? Or are you going to get a Malic 1? Or are you going to get, yes. So, Malic 3 is probably your safest bet and see if you can get a Malic 3 test. Let's see. What kills grubs? Lots of different products. Look, somebody answered right there. GrubX. There you go. Hey, Matt, removing a tree and renovating the 500 square feet around the area. Do any must-dos as part of the process? Yeah, get all of any of that remaining wood out of there as far as possible. So this is normally my recommendation when you remove a tree. Get everything out of it and do not worry about the quality. Do not sod. Do not worry about the quality of lawn there for the next 3 to 5 years is all the remaining roots. So even if you grind out the stump, even if you yank out the stump and you're pulling up roots all day long, you're still leaving behind a tremendous amount of woody material. And in the composting world, you start thinking about woods and then the leafy greens, you got your nitrogen sources and your carbon sources. So your carbon to nitrogen ratio in your soil is going to get way out of balance. It's going to hold a lot of heat and it's going to do really weird things to your grass. You're going to get all kinds of odd bugs starting to show up and just a very, very odd response. So personally, if you are 100% certain you got all the remaining roots and stuff out, then have at it. Is there anything you need to do as part of the process? No, you'll be fine. But if there is anything remaining in the ground, I would just warn you that if you're going to be renovating with bluegrass, don't spend a whole lot of money or worry about perfection yet, because it's going to get weird. David Hensel, Matt, I sprayed down Ornamec over the top, mesotrione, quinclorac, and triclopyr on my turf site till Fescue to burn and return before overseed. It rained 7 hours after my application. Rain fast by then? Should be. I wouldn't worry about 7 hours. What is a professional title for people that know about lawn care? Lawn applications, something along the lines of that. Yeah, in my area, it's lawn care. When I was in Memphis, it was in lawn care. It's kind of lawn care, and you have to filter through the people that mow. And an easy thing to do is just switch it up look for like lawn fertilization, lawn weed control and fertilization services, lawn application service, something along the lines of that. Do you think there's a notable difference between a residential mower Toro Titan and a Wright ZK Toro Titan worth of money? I have no idea, Roshan. No idea. I hate mowing grass to the absolute bottom of my heart. So, one, I've never used a Wright mower. Two, I've never used a Toro time cutter. So for me, it's just total Greek. Yeah, man, I can't even begin to offer you a sound answer there. But I will say this, commercial mowers are going to last a hell of a lot longer than the homeowner versions. I know that for sure. Is there a better time of the year to do the soil test, and what test would you suggest? As just a general rule of thumb, I would get a Malic 3. because I don't know your soil pH. And if you don't know your soil pH, it's just kind of a starting point. And you'll have to interpret your data kind of based off what your soil test actually says, what your pH actually is, right? So anyway, it's just simply put. And when to do it, 45 days after your last fertilizer application is a good time to do it. You can do it really any time of the year. Read an article that said to water in strobe to reach a root zone. I've always sprayed with adjuvant and never watered them in. What are your thoughts? Yes, water it in. If you wait a day or two, then by all means, you can certainly do that too. Let's see here. With returned clippings, nitrogen will leach quickly. P stays. What about K? K will do the same thing. So very soluble. It's going to leach very quickly as well. I use 1.5 ounces of quinclorac to a gallon of water to spot spray on some barnyard grass, but didn't phase the weed. Should I increase the mix? It depends on how much of that material you're putting over a given area. It's not just your amount per gallon, it's how much of that amount per gallon over a given area is being applied. So what you have to figure out is how much area are you covering with a gallon of water? If you're covering 4,000 square feet with a gallon of water, then you need to be applying 6 ounces of drive per gallon of water since you're covering 4,000 square feet with it. But if you're applying drive and you're only covering a half gallon and you're covering 1,000 square feet and you only applied and you applied a full gallon, then then you're good, 1.5 ounces per gallon. If you're only covering in that full gallon 500 square feet, then you need to drop that rate in half. So it's 3 pieces. It's rate, amount of volume of water, and then the area in which you are covering. What are you doing, Brad Tharp? Stop it. Dallas grass has been my biggest battle this year. Been through 2 apps of Tribute Total. Will a pre-emergent be effective for Dallas grass, or should I stay the course with Tribute Total? So here's what I would make sure you do is, yes, you're going to have to use a pre-emergent after it's killed. So whenever you're applying your crabgrass pre-emergent, that's going to be part of it, of your control. So now that we're entering the fall, right now is the best time to be making your Tribute Total applications for control. So I would make sure right now is when you are going absolute ham. Hell yeah! Going absolute ham with your Tribute applications to get control of your Dallas grass, starting right now. Let's see. Any reason to move from quinclorac 75 WG to Drive Accelerate? Drive Accelerate is going to be a little bit quicker on how water fast it is. Other than that, you don't have to worry about it. Should I be applying a potassium phosphite along with Azoxy 50? In my opinion, it's not a bad thing to do. Truth Hunter, I overseeded my St. Augustine grass with some sun shade mix just to help it fill in, and I swear it started growing faster as soon as I gave it some competition. That's weird. I would never put sun shade mix into a St. Augustine grass, so let me know how that works out long term. Boy, I just jumped down to the bottom. Matt, how long can I realistically take down, how low can I take it down at overseed? Need a level area where irrigation trenches have settled. 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch, something like that. You'll be fine. Yeah, I appreciate it, Kevin McCarthy, the fake medic. Totally not Nightman came in here. Just started playing with PGR, but love pushing nitrogen on my Bermuda grass. Yeah, it's always good. It's fun to watch how that does. 3 pounds per 1,000 per square feet. Okay for Stress X on Centipede. Also, is there sulfur in it going to lower the pH? Yes, it's perfectly fine for Centipede. No, that's sulfate sulfur. Sulfate sulfur does not lower the pH. Sulfate is an actual nutrient used by the plant. It's elemental sulfur, which is not the same thing as sulfate. Elemental sulfur converts into sulfuric acid, which lowers the pH. Sulfate is a usable plant nutrient and is taken up and used by the plant as SO4, sulfate. Speaking of turf-side tall fescue rhizomes, was reading that plant switches to rhizome production during longer photoperiod, tillers during shorter photoperiod. Kinda, yeah. And so you can kind of manipulate the wavelengths. Yes, you're right. You are. But, and you can kind of manipulate the wavelengths. But I have to say, on 2 different light cycles, I'm not seeing any difference. The only thing that has a major influence is how much you actually starve the plant. I have inherited a turd that has not been maintained. I want to put down tall fescue Kentucky bluegrass mix. What steps should I take to promote better seed growth in September? I want to prepare the soil now. Really, it's all about seed to soil contact and make sure Ryan Knorr just did a great video on renovation. I would look at that. That's pretty comprehensive. So what I would look at is renovations. 1, eliminate any of the weeds that you need to eliminate that are going to inhibit the rate of establishment of your current plant. 2, correct any of your underlying soil issues that need to be corrected right then and there. 3, do any of the dirty work you need to get done as far as adjusting the height of your irrigation heads and all that fun stuff, or put in your paver patio, whatever the case may be, do it then. 3, make sure you get good seed to soil contact, however you have to do that, whether it's using a tiller, whether it's using a slit seeder, or even if you want to aerate it in reverse and try and pull up some dirt that way. However you want to do it to ensure good seed to soil contact, by all means, go for it that way. 3, again, back to that whole thing of adjusting your soil to make sure all the deficiencies and all that fun stuff, probably part of that include budget in applying a starter fertilizer. Then the last part of it is make sure you're applying the adequate amount of water for the plants to actually do well. And then when it's time to cut, don't worry about how soon you get your first cut on it. It's just if it looks like it needs to be cut and it's tall enough for you to cut it, then go ahead and cut it. Must you use topsoil and rototiller when first put down sod? No, you do not need to use topsoil. Do you need to use a rototiller? Not necessarily, but I like the idea of softening the ground first, because you have to remember you're trying to coax a root system in a certain type of soil to move into a type of soil in which it has never been before. So how do you do that? You create the softest seed bed for it, or you create the softest soil bed for it imaginable. The more difficult it is for this root system to push into this root system, the less it's going to want to, the less likely it's going to want to, and the higher probability for plant failure in your sod job. Now, if you prepare this and you till it and it's really soft, or you Harley rake it, or whatever the case may be, and you rake out all the dead weeds and stuff, and you got a nice, perfect bed that's nice and moist, you wetted it down, and then you lay sod on top of it, guess where the roots of that and that sod are going to want to go? They're going to want to go into it. Does Pre-Emergent stop Johnson grass? Yes and no. That if you're worried about Johnson grass seed, yes, it can do that. But if you already have Johnson grass and it goes dormant and you think you're going to apply a Pre-Emergent and it's not going to come back anymore, then you're wrong there, because there are perennial varieties. So meaning that it will go dormant and then come back out of dormancy. It doesn't actually die in the winter. And Pre-Emergent is not going to kill a full-grown plant. I heard you mention problems can occur with sand leveling and other soils mixed together. I plan to sand level again next summer. I wonder if applying peat or compost will have negative effects. No, you should be fine. What up, turf nerd? What liquid CC products would you suggest for early fall applications combined with Uflex and blanket weed control? Cool season turf here. GTMF would be undoubtedly, you could do that. Or you could run DKP and D10 and kind of roll your own GTMF of sorts if you've already got Uflex in there. Yeah, that's what I would do. Matt G said, hey, Matt, I feel that my Bermuda lawn only looks really good after fertilizing, but think that my fertilizer pattern is too frequent. I'm doing about 1 pound of N per month, so curious as to your thought. No, that's about right. So yes, it probably only does look good after fertilizing, but there's way more to it than nitrogen. How much phosphorus and potassium are you applying? Because remember, there are 3 macronutrients: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. phosphorus and potassium are just as important, though they're not needed in as much as nitrogen is, but they are equally as important in that regard. So how much are you applying there? Then the second piece of it is what is your soil pH? Soil pH is going to have a big influence over the performance of the nitrogen that you apply as well. So it's why it's important to go ahead and get a soil test and see where your deficiencies are, and then strategize your NPK program based on the deficiencies you have in your soil test to make sure those are being corrected as you go. Let's see. Matt, my pre-emergent control in mid-August looks clean. Does that mean crabgrass will not appear in those lawns the rest of the year? More than likely, yes, Steve Willie. At this point, I think you're past the free and clear mark where I wouldn't worry about seeing it for the rest of the year. You should be good to go. I had a huge Norway maple cut down ground stump, but no grass grows. Yep, that's exactly what I was talking about. Let's see. Surfactant useful for glyphosate on Bermuda? Yes, I would look at the label and follow that label for the best results you can possibly get. Hi Matt, what to kill bent grass? Okay. I've talked about it a lot. You can go the route of tenacity or Pylex and see what you can get out of it. But the reality of the situation is this. How well is that going to work? Not very. Your best chances are just go ahead and use glyphosate and reseed it. I seeded Zenith Zorgia mid-July. It's coming in nicely, but Virginia buttonweed is raging. Can I spray Trimec now or wait 2 more weeks? Any better pesticides for this situation? Yeah, so probably what I would use is a little bit of 2,4-D and what's the one I'm trying to think of? Celsius. I would run a combination of those two. If you want to mix it up, you can run Monument with a little bit of 2,4-D or Trimec or 3-way, whatever you want to call it, and it will work well for you there. You can also use Metzel if you're on Metzel too, MSM. Most recent soil test showed a pH of 6.5 with a high level of sulfur. Will my pH continue to drop due to my sulfur level? No, because your sulfur level has nothing to do with your soil pH. That's just, it could be how much sulfate you have in the soil, and just, again, nothing to do with your pH level. Matt, with liquid fungicides, do I need to water in or cover the leaf? Or is it dependent on which disease I'm trying to attack? Labels are never clear to me. Well, and here's the thing is that it will stay on there, how quickly it needs to be watered in after application, and I would use that as the Bible. And if it doesn't have that on there, then it's mainly a contact fungicide. So what really is most important is understanding what the active ingredient is and how that active ingredient attacks the disease. Certain ones are going to be more systemic than others, therefore the requiring of watering those in is going to increase. If they are not incredibly systemic or they are contact fungicides, they do not need to be watered in. Cheapest surfactant that doesn't foam like dish soap? There isn't one. Any recommendations to go after crabgrass? Post-emergent New York can't get quinclorac Sure Power due to state restrictions. Pylex is what I would go for. If you can do that, I would spray Pylex. What is your opinion on slit seeding? I think it is the best way to go when it comes to establishing seed. Let it live. Crabgrass will die in winter. Apply pre-emergent. Yep, you can do that too. What is your opinion on growth regulator on tip 419? I mean, I think you can certainly do it. You're not going to hurt anything by doing it. It's all about what is your opinion on applying, how confident are you in applying PGR to 419? I've been going gangbusters with compost, and I'm going to do a soil test. Should I get the soil below the compost level, or be okay to get some of both the top and the topsoil under? Yeah, I'd probably test both to kind of see where you are, because one, you understand that the roots may proliferate in that area, but you're trying to get them to go deeper into the layer underneath it, right? You don't want them up there just shallow where you've got compost. So I would see what they are underneath it and figure out how can you get that compost incorporated into the lower levels of the soil. Or just give it time and not worry about it, and you should be okay too. What are your suggestions on treating arborvitaes with RGS? Spray around bottom of soil surrounding the tree shrub. However you want to do it. I mean, it's a humic acid and kelp product, so You can do a soil drench, or you can do a foliar application. Just if you're making a foliar application, don't get it on the siding in the house or anything like that. Use surfactant when spraying chelated iron. No real need. You can. How much of it's going to be taken in foliarly? Not much, if any at all. Now, there's some application, there's some chelated varieties, like if it's a glucoheptanate chelation, I could see where adding a surfactant to it may behoove you, but if you're EDTA or EDHA or EDSHA, whatever the case may be, or iron ferric citrate or something like that, ferric citrate, yes. Glucoheptanate, yes. EDTA, EDDHA, EDSHA, no. How many ounces of Tito's do you prefer in your red cup? Fitty. Polo Fields Lawn Service, can you apply tenacity at the time of reseeding? I believe so, yes. Check the label on that one. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know the tenacity level very well. Oh yeah, Jared B. I've been using Sedgehammer for nut sedge in my customers' Bermuda, but getting some mixed results. Are you supposed to water it in after anything? No, but that is one of the ones that is more important to use a surfactant with. Also, make sure you are calibrated at the rate you're supposed to be applying. That is, it can be very rate sensitive, and most of the times I see it fail, it's because it's being applied too lightly. Balance and drive are the new toys. What's the next thing coming down on the carbon earth development pipeline? Whew, my goodness, David Hensel, it's never ending. And a lot of this is going to come out over the winter, but there are going to be significant numbers of new SKUs that are upon us. How quick does liquid fertilizer get absorbed by the grass blade? Does it need to get watered in? Usually within hours it's being absorbed. And then yes, it does need to be watered in, because no foliar liquid fertilizer is going to be 100% of foliarly efficient. Therefore, it is going to rely a bit on root absorption at some point through the growing season. Help set up my new Permagreen for spraying and spreading. Not hard to do. I mean, literally, you calibrate your spreader for the rate at which you want to put it down, and the spray instructions are in the manual. It's super easy. So you're applying in every 1 gallon, you're covering 4,000 square feet. So for every 11 acres of tank, for every 11 gallons of tank, you're treating 1 acre of turf. Therefore, base your rates on, for every 11 gallons, your per acre rate of herbicide, whatever it is you're looking to do. I have some moss issues in a shady area of my lawn. Should I scrape it out or apply a product? One, I would scrape it out, but if you really want to do something about it, the only way to keep it from coming back is to get something established and cut the trees down. So you have to fix the light in it. So basically, moss is opportunistic, meaning that it's going to show up when it has a bare spot where it can proliferate. In this instance, you have a shady area of your lawn. In that absence of light, less photosynthesis can take place from the amount of grass that you have there. Therefore, the grass starts to recede because there's not enough light for photosynthesis, and thus carbohydrate storage and production and all that fun stuff that goes along with it. But so what I would do is I would either, one, allow for more light, the only thing you can do is allow for more light, scrape it out, and try and get something growing there. But if you can't do anything to correct the light, then there's no real point in getting rid of the moss. Just leave it there and allow it to protect your soil, because inadvertently, that's what it ends up doing. Can you mix glyphosate with triclopyr ester? Yes, you can. You totally confused me. I just bought Southern Ag chelated liquid iron. Do you know if it has what you said? I guess no surfactant. I have no idea. I've never looked at that label. Southern Ag chelated liquid iron. Let's see. Contains 5% iron. Let me look at the label here. It contains iron sulfate and lignin sulfonate. So it's chelated by lignin sulfonate. So this isn't even a real chelation method. So I would add a surfactant to it, because this is not actually chelated iron. It's silly for them to call that chelated iron. My ass. I love mesotrione in the Midwest, but only when you add it to other chemicals. Surefire and quinclorac are best for me. I would agree. I do not like it on its own. What is your opinion on why is this happening again? What does my opinion matter on it? To be honest, I'm just curious. It's a 1010 fertilizer, I believe. Isn't that right? Let me look it up. PDF complete. I can't even find it on the internet. Let me see. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. This is a 1648 with a little bit of humic acid. It's a 1648 with humic acid. I mean, there's a million and one 1648s out there. There's Rainbow Plant Food. They're a dime a dozen. So just kind of pick your poison over whichever one you want to use. So, yeah. The new community landscaper told me that he plans to apply all turf herbicides with the steel backpack fogger. Should I be worried? 1,000% yes. Oh, my Lord, have mercy. David, send me an email, please. thegrassfactor@gmail.com. Please send me an email. Yeah, there's my email address. Send me an email address. If anybody's out there, please, by all means, do not apply herbicide with a backpack fogger. My goodness. All right, everybody. The time is 10 o'clock. It is upon us. I want to thank you all for tuning in today. I will be here. Oh, I don't know. Tomorrow, same damn time, same damn place. Well, actually, not the same time, but the same place at least. I should be streaming tomorrow at 4 p.m. If you want to tune in, we're going to have Pick the Doc's Brain, where I have Ray, who is sometime in the chats. He'll be on answering questions and all that fun stuff that he is able to do. And I believe that has got it. So I want to thank you all, and we'll see you on the flip side.